What if the monsters lurking in the shadows aren't just figments of a child's imagination, but rather ancient echoes whispering from deep within your own mind? You probably think you're not afraid of the dark, but I'm here to tell you, you absolutely are, just not in the way you might think. Tonight, we're going to dive into the deep, dark corners of the human psyche to uncover why the absence of light can trigger such a primal, unsettling fear in almost all of us, even when we're adults. We'll explore how our ancient past, the very wiring of our brains, and even the stories we tell ourselves conspire to turn an empty room into a stage for our deepest anxieties. The fear of the dark, or nyctophobia, isn't just some childish quirk we grow out of. It's a deep-seated, persistent human emotion felt across cultures and throughout history. You see, it's rarely just about the absence of light itself. Nobody's truly scared of, well, nothing. What we experience is a far more complex psychological response, one fueled by innate biological wiring and profoundly shaped by everything we've ever experienced. Think of darkness as an empty canvas, and your mind, an incredibly powerful artist, immediately gets to work, painting fears onto it. To understand this deep-seated unease, we have to rewind way back to a time before streetlights, before even fire was a common luxury. Picture our ancestors huddled around a dying ember as the sun dips below the horizon. For them, darkness wasn't just inconvenient, it was a hunting ground for unseen dangers. Predators, with their keen night vision and silent movements, thrived under the cover of night. A rustle in the bushes, a snap of a twig, in the daylight, these might be easily dismissed. But in the pitch black, with limited visibility, every sound was a potential threat, every shadow a potential predator. The inability to see signaled immediate, undeniable vulnerability. This wasn't just a mild discomfort, it was a matter of survival. The humans who were more cautious, more alert, more afraid in the dark, were the ones who survived to pass on their genes. This means that over countless millennia, a survival-based fear of the unknown that darkness represents became ingrained in our very DNA. It's why, even today, in our perfectly safe, well-lit homes, a sudden power outage can prompt that same ancient heightened state of alertness and anxiety. It's not rational in a modern context, but it's deeply, primitively wired into us. It's our brain's way of saying, danger, get ready, just like it did for the cave dwellers. Here's where it gets truly fascinating. Our brains are absolute information sponges, constantly taking in data from our senses to build a coherent picture of the world around us. But what happens when you suddenly pull the plug on the primary sense that gives us most of that information? When darkness deprives us of crucial visual cues, our brains, being the amazing problem solvers they are, don't just sit idly by. They're hardwired to make sense of things, to fill in the blanks, and when there's a big, black, blank canvas, the power of imagination kicks into overdrive. Suddenly, without concrete visual reassurance, our minds start conjuring potential threats. That pile of clothes on the chair transforms into a crouching figure. The gentle sway of curtains in a breeze becomes the slow, deliberate movement of something unseen. A creaking floorboard isn't just the house settling, it's footsteps approaching. Our brains, desperate to complete the picture and anticipate danger, create scenarios that are often far more terrifying than reality. It's a bit like watching a scary movie with your eyes half closed. The shapes you think you see are often much scarier than what's actually there. This process is largely driven by a tiny almond-shaped part of your brain called the amygdala. The amygdala is basically your brain's alarm system. Its job is to detect threats and initiate a fear response. When visual information is scarce, the amygdala goes into overdrive, interpreting ambiguity as danger. It doesn't care if the threat is real or imaginary. Its primary directive is to keep you safe. So it sends out a flood of stress hormones, heightens your senses, and makes your heart race, all because your imagination is running wild in the absence of light. It's It's a case of your primitive brain making up stories to protect you, even when those stories are the very source of your fear. Beyond the evolutionary echoes and the brain's visual detective work, there's another potent ingredient that darkness provides in spades: uncertainty. Humans, by nature, are creatures who crave order and predictability. We like knowing what's coming, where we are, and what's around us. The unknown and the unseen are inherently unsettling. Darkness strips away our ability to perceive our surroundings, leading to a profound sense of a loss of control. And where there's a lack of control, anxiety quickly takes root. We become hyper-aware, straining to hear, to feel, anything that can give us a shred of information to regain that control. This primal unease is then exacerbated, often dramatically, by cultural influences. Think about it, how many stories, movies, and folklore tales portray darkness as a haven for evil? From vampires to ghosts, boogeymen to masked villains, the shadows are consistently depicted as the dwelling place of what we fear most. We tell our children stories about things that hide under the bed or in the closet when the lights go out. These narratives aren't just entertainment, they reinforce a deep, unconscious association between darkness and danger from a very young age. This cultural conditioning, passed down through generations, effectively trains our brains to anticipate menace when the lights go out, turning a natural environmental condition into a psychological trigger for dread. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy of fear, whispered into our ears from infancy. Now, while almost everyone feels something when plunged into complete darkness, the intensity of this fear isn't equal across individuals. It's not a one-size-fits-all experience. Take children, for example. They often exhibit a much stronger, more overt fear of the dark than adults. This isn't surprising when you consider their less developed understanding of the world. For a child, the line between reality and imagination is much blurrier, and their heightened imaginations can conjure monsters with alarming vividness. They haven't yet learned to rationally dismiss the shadows or understand that the closet door is securely shut. But beyond age, individual experiences play a crucial role in shaping our relationship with the dark. If someone had a traumatic experience in the dark, perhaps they were lost or injured or exposed to something frightening, that memory can create a lasting, intense fear that lingers well into adulthood. The brain forms a powerful association between darkness and distress. On the flip side, positive associations with darkness can significantly reduce anxiety. Someone who spent many happy nights stargazing or who finds comfort in the quiet calm of a darkened room might have a much less pronounced fear or even find peace in the dark. It just goes to show how much our personal narrative intertwines with these primal responses. So, as we bring our journey into the dark to a close, it becomes clear that the fear isn't about the absence of light itself. It's a multifaceted emotion, deeply rooted in our evolutionary past, amplified by the very biology of our brains, and continuously shaped by our individual experiences and the stories we tell. When you switch off that light, you're not fearing the empty space, you're fearing the potential threats your mind, in its earnest attempt to protect you, creates within it. Understanding these intricate mechanisms isn't just a fascinating psychological insight, it's the first step towards managing this incredibly common and very human fear. Want to understand more about the hidden forces shaping your everyday reactions? Hit that subscribe button.